Ladies and gentlemen, today my teammates and I are going to share about communism.
First of all, what is communism? Communism is a belief system where everything that everyone earns or makes goes to everyone, but mostly to the government. If a country is a fully communism party, you wouldn't even see any economic gap. All property will also belong to the community. We will now show a short video on what communism is to clarify our point.
As diplomatic relations between Cuba and the United States improve, we wanted to look at the political philosophy behind the long-embargoed nation. Cuba is one of the last communist dictatorships left in the world, and since extreme anti-communist sentiments in the mid-20th century, the philosophy has been a regular fixture in political discussions. So we wanted to know, what exactly is communism? Well, there are a number of overlapping philosophies and socioeconomic systems that can be described as communist in nature. But in the most basic sense, communism is when all manufacturing or means of production are equally owned by all the members of a state. The intended result is to eliminate the capitalist-inspired class system where one class does all the work and the other gets all the money. Although similar ideas have existed both naturally and intentionally since the dawn of time, the most common form of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, in what is today known as Marxism. In particular, Marxism is focused on the exploitation of the worker. It's based on the idea that any profit generated by the worker but instead goes to the business owner is a form of inequality and should be abolished. In recent history, several countries, including the USSR, China, Vietnam, and Cuba, have attempted to institute their own versions of communism. However, all can be said to be predominantly socialist and not communist. The biggest difference between the two is that socialism says that all workers should get an equal share in profit and property, while communism says that there shouldn't be money or ownership in general, and everyone should get as much as they need and work as much as they can. Unfortunately, attempts to achieve this political philosophy have led to lower standards of living, government corruption, and in the case of the USSR, total collapse and failure. A number of reasons have been put forth as to why communism hasn't worked out historically. But the strongest criticism of the philosophy is that communism removes the incentive to work harder than they absolutely have to. It also leads to resentment of those who work less hard but receive the same. In general, communism is described as being great in theory while disastrous in practice. The state of the world seems to agree with that assessment. If you'd like to learn more...
Okay. Yeah.
Communism signboard. First, the communism color of flag. The red and yellow flag has been a symbol of general communist movements. Third, generally used by anarcho-communism. Next, the hammer and sickle. The hammer and sickle is a symbol means to represent proletarian solidarity. It was first adapted during the Russian Revolution, the hammer representing the workers and the sickle representing the peasants. After that, the history of communism. The first country that communism was Russia, and they named the party's name Soviet Union. Their first leader was Vladimir Lenin. He was born in 1870 to 1924.
Yes. Is he here? Is he here with us?
Okay. Who's going to present?
Oscar, we can't hear
Oscar.
you. You forgot to
Oscar.
unmute.
Okay. Hi, I'm Oscar.
Hi.
I'm going to share with you countries that are communism. First, the countries that are still communism are the 5 countries on the slides. North Korea became a communist country at 13th of October 1945. Cuba became a communist country at 26th of March 1962. Laos became a communist country at 1991. China became a communist country at 1st of October 1949. Lastly, Vietnam became a communist country at 2nd of September 1945. What does communist leader do? The first party rules is we cannot vote for government. They make sure that no one can speak freely or criticize them because the government censors content for mainly political reasons, but also to maintain its control over the populace. The Chinese government asserts that it has the legal rights to control the internet's content within their territory, and that their censorship rules do not infringe on the citizens' rights to free of speech. Some countries won't let the outside world knowledge reach citizens is because they think that they are the best, and last, there won't be equal right, and the citizens will be forced to do labors because the leader makes sure that the citizens don't have rights, so that they have to do whatever the government says, like labor.
And hi, here's Marie. How do we solve communism? There are a few ways to solve communism where you can now listen and think about it. Firstly, do not get involved with the communists. If involved, don't attack them with soldiers, but use techniques that weaken their moral and economy. Secondly, stop them from influencing other countries by doing proxy wars. Thirdly, wait for a revolution to happen and let the citizens overthrow the government. And lastly, wait for one of the leaders to start lifting the strict rules and change the system. So the next one, what will be different when the problem is solved? Firstly, the economic gap. There will be no economic gap within the citizens. Secondly, brainwashing. Let me give this example in North Korea. The government is brainwashing their citizens of how good and proud to stay here and how dangerous it is outside. Same goes as false comfort, which gives the citizens the message of telling them they are safe, but they are actually in danger. Revolution. They will have less revolution and not a lot of proxy war will happen. Next, less unequal rights. So they will not be just the government to decide something when some issues involve the citizens. Riot. Lesser riot and conflict will happen. And freedom. The citizens won't be restricted by the communists, and they will not worry much or feel stressed by the rules, and they won't be afraid of communism spreading. And lastly, Cold War. If Marx's ideas never spread, less Cold Wars will happen between communism countries and America. And thanks for watching. This is the end of our presentation.
Well done.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, all right. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Q&A time. Yeah. All right, my first question is, what is the difference between socialism and communism?
For us, right?
Yeah.
Socialism is
right.
they will treat everyone, maybe the government or citizen equally, but then
Communism is if you work harder, you earn more.
yeah.
I mean, like you can get how much you want, but you have to work as hard as you want, as hard as that.
It's quite
But
unequal.
everyone changes it now.
Okay, all right. Okay, my second question. Why do you think that communism is a problem? Why do you need to solve communism?
We're doing it wrongly. The sound of it is nice, but the way we are doing it is bad instead. Like stupid.
Can you provide
ways.
some examples? Why do you think that they are not a good belief system?
Like, as you can
Like,
see,
at a
North
state
Korea or
example,
China.
yeah, North Korea is the
Well, I
best
can
example.
say North Korea is not communism; it is dictatorship. I mean, one, it's like a whole
That's
people control a
dictatorship.
country. No, yeah, that's
100%.
dictatorship, and
Then
that's
why do you
why
think
Can we,
that's why
yeah,
you're
yeah,
wrong.
okay, can I just say something here, all right?
Okay, okay.
Now, if you compare between China and North Korea, China has become a very, very much successful country today, yeah? Whereas North Korea is still very backward, not so developed as China.
True.
But both countries are also practicing communism. So how come
teacher,
there is a big difference
I thought that
between
dictator.
This
these
is
two
why.
China,
Let me speak,
countries?
there are so
Yongsheng. Let
many
me speak.
people
Yeah.
in China. Of
Between
course,
these two
Party rule.
countries?
You can't
Yes.
vote for your leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kim Jong Un also cannot.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
Yongchen,
that
just
is
listen,
communism.
yeah.
But
Listen to the group, okay,
dictatorship.
what they're going to say.
Wait,
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Right.
so China, the countries, those 5 countries are communism because first you can't have like vote for your own government. So it's like you cannot choose. They'll help. They will choose themselves. And then there's also unequal rights. So they're like, you cannot vote. It's really very unequal. And then they'll treat you very badly also sometimes. Like sometimes
Yeah.
they'll arrest you for no reason. And then you could see the Hong Kong Revolution is one of the examples. They made a promise and then just broke it and then went police brutality.
and
Nah.
I think China is communism is quite
Wait, I want to share something.
quite agree. It's because what's that?
Hey, Yongchen, hold on first, hold on
No,
first,
no,
hold on
no,
first,
no.
all right?
North
We have
Korea
not
holds
finished yet, we have not
election.
finished yet, yeah? We have not finished yet, all right?
No, yes, they hold election.
Yongchen,
And guess
can you
what?
leave it up?
The election
stop
only
macam
has
yes.
one
Yeah,
person,
don't share.
Kim
All right.
Jong-un.
No, that
Yes, I
actually
know. I
won't.
read an article about it.
Okay,
But that dictatorship.
in the conclusion itself, all right? So your group agree that communism is not a good belief system, correct?
Yeah, but it sounds nice, but we are doing it wrongly.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay, thank
Teacher.
you.
Just realize with the milk we are presenting.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, I want to ask something. So,
Oh yeah, Yongchen.
North Korea's dictatorship on communism?
No,
Wrong
you see,
communism.
I think
No,
you're
they are
confused
dictator.
already. We are talking about belief system. Dictatorship is just a method. It's
Yeah.
not a belief. North Korea still falls under communism. It's a communist country.
Oh, it's a communism country, but
So we are
it works in
talking about
dictator.
the system. The system and the method is different. Dictator
Oh, okay.
is a method. Okay, yeah.
Fine.
Whereas when you talk about Donald Trump, okay, Donald Trump is a dictator. Whereas the American is a democratic system. So you can see two different things there.
Okay.
All right. So we're talking about the system itself. So don't get confused between method and system.